Now, I don't consider myself too much of a gamer, but when someone releases a tablet that can compete with the iPad Pro for half the price, it's time to pay attention. This is the Red Magic Nova, a gaming pad with an internal RGB turbofan and a laptop-grade cooling system, all for just $500, cheaper than even a lot of smartphones. Red Magic did send me 2 of these tablets, one for testing and one for, well, you'll find out later. Starting off, we have an 80-watt charging brick in the box. Apple's iPad Pro comes with a measly 20-watt block and some stickers, just to throw some more dirt in the wound since Apple no longer includes any. Flipping our way around to the back of the gaming pad, we can see the internal RGB cooling fan. It's extremely interesting that this time around there are no external vents for this fan like we normally see in the Red Magic smartphones. At least no external vents that I can immediately see around its housing. There is a transparent glass panel on the back, with more RGBs in the Red Magic logo, and a decorative facade below that glass that has the very unholy matrimony of a flathead and Phillips screw side by side. But I'll ignore this oversight since transparent tech is the best tech. The Red Magic Nova has more of a widescreen layout than other tablets since it's built specifically for gaming. While it can be a notepad or e-reader, its 10.9-inch 2.8K resolution screen is completely centered around optimal viewing for video games. For reference, the Nova has 312 pixels per inch, while the iPad Pro is only 264, which is a big difference in the level of detail it can display while gaming. They both, however, start scratching in level 6, with deeper grooves at a level 7. Taking a look at the body, with its slightly chamfered edges, the 80-watt USB-C port and 2 loudspeakers are protected by a metal frame. The volume rocker is also metal. The far side has an additional 2 stereo loudspeakers, bringing our total to 4, along with a side-mounted recessed power button that doubles as a fingerprint scanner. Lastly, similar to the iPad Pro, we have some circular pins for optional accessories. Maybe Red Magic will be coming out with a keyboard or something else in the future, I'm not too sure. Making our way around to the back, with the subtle glow from the fan's RGBs, we see that the back panel is made from metal. Now, back in my day, there was one game far more popular than all of the others. I'm not going to tell you which one, but it involved a special weapon. And now is supposedly getting an Unreal Engine 5 reboot, which is awesome. Also, this is probably one of my worst drawings of all time. Only true gamers are going to know what this is, so let me know down in the comments if you get it. Analyzing the 20,000 RPM 17mm turbofan next to the rear 50 megapixel camera, it really does not appear to have any external venting. I'm curious if the math works out to where it has enough internal air to circulate without self-throttling. We'll have to take a look at the insides here in a second if the tablet snaps in half. Because heat dissipation is a very important aspect of high-end gaming hardware. The Nova screen has a 140Hz refresh rate with an 840Hz touch sampling rate, meaning it can sense your finger before the screen even displays what's going on, which is impressive. All with 550 nits of IPS LCD brightness, as we can tell from the black spot that's forming, that does eventually completely recover. Now, while a tablet doesn't necessarily have to be as durable as a smartphone or Game Boy, it's still good to know what its physical limits are, and how much abuse it can theoretically handle. And in the case of this Red Magic Nova gaming pad, at first glance, when bending from the front, it appears extremely solid. But flipping it around and bending from the back, where the glass isn't there to constrain it, we do get a very substantial flex. Not along the center point either, it's more of a diagonal flex, which is strange, and the kink that follows is very permanent. We aren't here to judge though, at least it didn't snap in half. With no cracks or catastrophic damage though, I say the Nothing gaming pad survives. It'll live through normal wear and tear just fine, but probably not a rage quit. However, the internal ventless cooling fan still has me curious, and I think we deserve to see how that looks from the inside. Using quite a lot of heat to soften the adhesive around the edges of the large screen, there is no official IP rating, which means, in theory, air should still be able to enter and exit through those speaker holes. With the adhesive cleanly sliced away by my jerry-rig knife and suction cup, the front screen folds open like a book. The IPS ribbons are plugged into the motherboard near the front-facing 20 megapixel selfie camera. I'll peel off the upper mainboard copper foil, This helps get the heat off the top side of the motherboard and into the aluminum panel on the back side of the display. The RGB turbofan has 8 screws holding it in place, and interestingly enough has no ribbons or plugs, just gold contact pads where the fans rest up against the motherboard. Definitely a cool little unit, but I'll take 3 screws off of the screen's metal bracket and then unplug the screen ribbons just like little Legos. With our first glimpse inside the Nova's body, we see 4 large speakers and a modular charging port, which is good. The 50 megapixel rear camera is accessible at this point as well, but does not have any optical image stabilization. There are small haptic feedback motors on either side of the base of the tablet, which when held horizontally give directional gaming feedback, similar to a gaming controller, like we would see on an Xbox or PlayStation. And it looks like the speakers do have waterproofing mesh over each opening, and the speakers themselves are made with rubber speaker cones to help with water resistance. But we aren't here for speakers or vibrators. I want to see what that heat pipe and venting system look like. With about 9 more screws removed from the upper motherboard and the batteries unplugged, the main board can lift up and away from the frame, revealing a thermal paste connection to the 103mm copper heat pipe that's embedded and sandwiched into the frame. It looks like the fan does indeed have a direct connection to that vapor chamber and can pull the internal tablet air over that copper and spit it out the left side near the battery, circulating the air in a giant circle all throughout the tablet. I would imagine, though, that the bulk of the cooling comes from the traditional legacy layout, where the copper is thermally dissipating its heat through the back aluminum shell. Red Magic says the fan helps improve cooling efficiency by 30%, which is probably true, just a little guy doing the best he can, but the bulk of the heat still gets out through the back of the tablet and through the screen. The last massive perk, besides the 80 watts of fast charging, is the 10,100 mAh worth of battery. For reference, the iPad Pro only has 8,160. And while it's plugged in, the Red Magic Pro bypasses the battery entirely to power the motherboard without adding additional cycles to the battery's lifespan. Thumbs up for that. And check it out, everything still works, including our little RGB cooling fan. If you made it this far in the video, just subscribe and leave a comment, and thanks to Red Magic for sending an extra gaming pad. I'll pick a random winner to get this brand new sealed Red Magic Nova. Thanks a ton for watching, and I'll see you around.